So I am smiling today. Right now I just received my December holiday break. So right now we can get to post more videos. You already know that in different parts of the world you have different types of people. The heat, their religion speaks a lot about them, you know. So they eat certain things like monks. Monks they don't kill animals and eat animals like us. Where we kill chicken, we eat chicken, but they are vegetarians. They don't eat animals. But we have people in the world that eat some of the weirdest things. Like you have to wonder, like why like there are people eat cockroach, frog, snail, bro. So now we're going to watch some of the weirdest food that people ever eat.
There are plenty of dishes out there that, for a variety of reasons, I simply won't touch.
Jesus, this is weird already.
This hasn't stopped other countries from digging into these recipes with gusto though. We may cringe, but people around the world are simply licking.
What that man? People really eat them. Yo, that come like post youth.
Their chops. We hope you've brought your appetite because we're counting down the top 10 weirdest foods other countries love to eat.
Jesus, this is weird already.
Not every strange foreign dish stands a good chance of murdering you, but there's still plenty odd to American taste.
Repeat that.
Not every strange foreign dish stands a good chance of murdering you, but
murder. So people actually sit down and eat food. We literally murder you, kill you. Some people very smart.
But there's still plenty odd to American taste buds. The Armenian soup called kash is just that. Kash is cow meat simmered in broth and liberally seasoned with garlic, salt and lemon juice. That doesn't sound so weird, except the cow meat in question is from the hooves. Yes, to eat kash is to eat cow feet. Stranger is how some chefs will add pieces of cow stomach to the mixture. It's all the parts of the cow that American steak enthusiasts tend to ignore, but Armenians swear by it. In their country, kash is as much a ritual as it is a meal. Preparing it can take upwards of 2 days. After removing all the hair, a chef places the hooves in cold water for at least a day. This is to remove all possible dirt, impurities, and funky smell. After all, who knows what the cow stepped in? Then you simmer the hooves in water for 8 hours, making sure to check in every hour to top off the water and prevent both the pot and feet from drying out. After that, you scoop out the broth and meat and serve. All the seasonings come later, added according to the diner's personal tastes. Making this long ritual even crazier is that kash is typically meant to be enjoyed in the morning as a hangover cure after a night of craziness and partying. So, for a soup made of feet and stomach, chefs will often go without sleep to ensure it comes out perfectly. Ever put food in the fridge and forgotten about it only to find it months later when cleaning out the fridge? You would. If it was halkudok, you would. Typically found in Greenland, halkudok isn't just any shark meat. Preparers usually use meat from the Greenland shark, which is highly poisonous due to all the uric acid and trimethylamine oxide. The only way to detoxify the meat is to ferment it, and this process takes months. First, you bury the meat in a shallow hole and cover it with gravel and large stones. This helps to remove toxic fluids from the meat, but doing so takes anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks. After that, you cut the meat up into strips and hang it out to dry.
You put meat for dry outside. Whoa.
It's another several months before the meat is dry enough to serve. Once it is, you remove the now browned skin, cut the meat into cubes, and eat. If you've never eaten halkudok before, know what you're getting into.
That will never happen. You will never live to see that happen. Stink bug. The food literally name stink bug. Why?
The very name should be enough to put anybody off this
Exactly. I think I'm alone with it.
food. Stink bugs are exactly what they sound like, insects that give off a terrible scent. Much like skunks, stink bugs emit their smell when defending themselves, and even if you like eating
You nasty.
and so, they're a popular snack around Africa and countries like Taiwan. They're apparently quite spicy, and people love to eat them both alone and mixed in with other foods. But worry not, for the spice doesn't come from the stink glands. When preparing the bugs for consumption, cooks do remove the glands. Not eating the stink might make eating stink bugs more palpable, except for one other issue. You may be eating these bugs alive. A species of stink bug called the humil, and this hearty little guy can survive upwards of a week after being cooked and beheaded. So if you eat a taco sauce mix containing humil, there's a good chance those little guys are still alive and kicking. Chances are you've eaten clams. Perhaps you've eaten them raw, but
Never.
have you ever eaten them so raw they're still bleeding? Probably not, and for good reason. Blood clams, usually found around the Indian Ocean, are a particular kind of clam called Tegilaka granosa.
Them that alive. Nah, still no.
Most notable for producing tons of hemoglobin. This is the chemical that gives blood its lovely red colour, and blood clams being loaded with them means when you... While you could theoretically boil most of this liquid away, doing so means you're not enjoying blood clams the way they're meant to. To fans of the dish, the rawness and bloodiness is part of the appeal, so most fans swear by the tastiness of blood clams, but even they can't deny the inherent dangers of eating such a dish.
It danger.
Since there's no prep time aside from an ever so brief boiling, all sorts of viruses and bacteria a blood clam carries are still there. So feel free to eat this meal, but no, dessert may be a heaping helping of hepatitis, dysentery, or worse.
That would never happen to me, you know.
If you want a truly sensational soup, head to the Vietnam-Cambodia area and give white ant egg soup a shot. If you don't want to eat hundreds of ants at various stages of development, however, then maybe stay away. True to its name, white ant egg soup is comprised of white ant eggs. If you eat it, fans say, the eggs pop open in your mouth and emit a sour flavour. So if Sour Patch Kids have lost their luster, try some ant eggs instead. But that's not all. This soup also contains partial...
I'll stop you, sweetie. Tuna, aywa.
While this dish may sound like something a child may invent, or perhaps an ingredient in a witch's curse, in Japan, tuna eyeballs are a real delicacy. A tuna's eyeballs are roughly the size of a tennis ball, so there's plenty to consume. When cooked, the outer part of the eye, called the sclera, becomes extra chewy and not particularly edible. However, the inside becomes quite soft and easy to drink if that's your thing. Despite many chefs sautéing the eyeballs with flavours like soy sauce and ginger, many people report the taste as kind of bland. It sounds like the rest of tuna is far more flavourful. If you still wish to try some eyes next time you're in Japan, make absolutely sure they're cooked. Some may say you can eat the eyes raw, but doing so risks contracting all sorts of bacteria. As other
Bacteria, you hear that? Okay.
the foods on this list have already proven, bacteria isn't a fun part of any dining experience, so please cook your eyes before consuming them. In addition,
That's what I we.
there's a chance you've eaten uni at your favourite sushi restaurant, or at least seen it on the menu. But do you know what it is? If you answer, it's a sea urchin, you're only partially correct. It is a sea urchin, yes, but there's only one part of the urchin that's even remotely edible. It's gonad.
That dangerous.
So if you order uni, understand you're about to eat an urchin's raw testicles. Each
Yeah, push it up in our face, youth. You know, no man.
urchin contains 5 gonads, but only a small amount of urchins sport the edible kind. So when you manage to eat uni, understand you're about to consume a rare delicacy. You'll just have to get past the psychological aspect of exactly what you're eating. It's actually an incredibly versatile food, and you can find it served as sushi, sashimi, atop of bed of pasta or rice, or steamed in an eggy broth called chawanmushi. Or if you're particularly adventurous, you can simply crack open a uni like a walnut, scoop out the innards, and eat away. That is, if you're okay with eating a living creature's reproductive organs while it slowly dies in front of you. Millions upon millions of people enjoy sushi and sashimi, but most would turn and run at the extreme version of that.
Oh Jesus! It can't move!
A Japanese dish called odoridon, where you essentially eat an octopus alive.
Oh no! Yo!
To prepare odoridon, a chef will take an octopus or squid and chop its head off. Then they'll immediately place the raw corpse upon a bed of noodles, rice, and salmon eggs.
Yo!
That's it. Then they bring the freshly dead
Oh no, nasty! Nasty! Fire upon you! Fire!
octopus to your table, and it's time to eat. As you might have guessed, a headless octopus isn't actually alive, but it might
It a move still!
as well be, given how active its nervous system is. Pour soy sauce over the body and it will start to wriggle and shake. That's because the sodium in soy sauce activates the tentacle's neurons, which have not yet shut down, to come alive.
That creep me out.
These neurons stimulate nearby muscles and cause them to contract, which makes it seem like your food is dancing around.
Yo, more skip. Yo.
So why on earth would anybody want to eat such a thing, you ask? To many, the sensation of eating something that's squirming inside your mouth is worth the night out, despite how, if you're not careful, it could be your very last night ever. That's because the still wiggling and contracting tentacles might just latch itself onto your throat as you attempt to swallow them. Quick reminder, the suction cups on these tentacles are incredibly strong. If it does this, you're likely to choke to death. Eating roast duck is normal. Eating duck eggs is also normal. But balut, which is an egg with a duck embryo inside, is just plain bizarre. This off-putting Filipino dish is prepared by taking a duck egg and fertilizing it for several weeks. After about 3 weeks, the egg sports a well-formed fetus, complete with feathers, wings, and a beak. They then hard-boil the egg and serve it to the hungry party, who eats the entire embryo straight from the shell. While you may be cringing at the idea, rest assured that balut is not a dangerous food unless you choke on the beak or something. You're essentially eating a combination of duck and duck egg after all, and gaining all the calcium and protein from both. What's more, according to local Filipino belief, balut is a great libido-boosting aphrodisiac. That's something to consider for your next dinner date. If you want to try balut, you don't have to worry about shelling out tons of money at a fancy restaurant. This is no rare delicacy, but rather a normalized snack you can buy almost anywhere in the country. Expect to pay about $12 for a dozen.
But it's nasty. Sure.
Everyone likes soup, but not everyone is likely to enjoy fruit bat soup. It won't take long to understand why. To prepare this so-called soup, which you mostly find in countries like Guam, you take a wild fruit bat and boil it alive. Then you place the bat in a bowl with some coconut milk and a few vegetables. Then you eat it. That's literally it.
Yo!
Did you notice the recipe doesn't include instructions like debone the bat or remove the bat's hair or behead the bat? That's because you don't do any of that. You eat the whole bat, wings, eyes, nose, brain, and anything else aside from the bones, and pluck the hair out of your teeth while doing so. Never mind that, when prepared this way, fruit bat soup sounds unbelievably bland. It's also unbelievably
It sounds really, really nasty. That's what it sounds like.
much like odoridon, the fruit bat ends up on your plate immediately after dying. Unlike odoridon, however, this was a wild bat that was only superficially cleaned prior to boiling. As such, it's still loaded with all the bacteria and parasites you may expect from a wild bat.
Bacteria. Yo.
Eat this dish and you're asking all sorts of deadly diseases you simply can't get from a nice bowl of alphabet soup.
Yo, if video done, me nah go to the second one.
Stop the cap.